All right, San Francisco's inspection fees are now increased by 15%, and nobody is happy at all. San Francisco's HOA, their maintenance for condos and condominiums are also incredibly high. If you look at the building inspection fees, like I said in the beginning, 15% is a lot. I mean, building inspection is very expensive, especially from some of the tallest skyscrapers in San Francisco. And a lot of corporations right now are just straight up defaulting on their buildings, and they can't even sell these buildings. Nobody even wants these buildings. San Francisco has absolutely ruined itself. It will never recover from this. In fact, so many businesses and stores have left San Francisco that San Francisco honestly isn't a tech capital anymore. If you want to do tech, the last place you want to go to is probably San Francisco. You'll much rather go to Las Vegas, Austin, Denver, Miami, and even New York City is pretty decent for tech. So you do have America's tech capital just pretty much being ran to the ground. And of course, America's tech capital is now being dispersed to other places in the US. So it's no longer situated in just one single area. Now you do see several cities in the US, especially the ones in Florida and Texas, getting a lot of the finance jobs and getting a lot of the tech jobs. And with the buildings already getting basically no tenants, right? You already have several of the biggest projects in San Francisco just pretty much completely empty. A lot of these buildings in San Francisco, they're not getting investors. They're canceled. The upcoming construction is halted for several projects. San Francisco is so screwed right now. And you're going to be increasing the building inspection fee by 15%. The city is really down bad. The city is losing so much ad revenue. The city is losing so much corporation revenue, right? A lot of people who want to go to San Francisco, who want to make it big, they're no longer coming here. And a lot of these corporations are taking their money elsewhere. So every single month, every single year, when San Francisco is taxing these businesses, there is no more businesses to tax. You walk through the Mission, most of it's completely empty. And if you look through some of the Salesforce towers, if you look through at some of the big office towers in downtown, it's also completely empty. Not to mention whole entire skyscrapers, like for example, the NEMA skyscraper right next to the Twitter headquarters. This building right here, all nice and blue, fantastic location next to Uber, Lyft, Reddit, and Twitter, is now defaulting on a $400 million loan. And by the way, this area is supposed to be like pretty high end, is now crawling with homelessness, people doing fentanyl, and intensive drug use, with several of these really high end storefronts already closing. Union Square is now completely empty. The place is pretty deserted. And it's a really just sad sight for America's finest tech capital. And like I said before, with these commercial property prices dropping this much, I don't think increasing the building inspection fee is going to help at all. In fact, for the first time in a long time, property prices in San Francisco are sinking like a rock. And property owners, for the first time in decades, almost a century, has the most appeals for a tax cut. So many property owners are asking for a tax cut in San Francisco, and guess what the government says? No. That's crazy, because the property values are no longer worth $1 million for a one bedroom. It's more like worth $600K or $500K for a one bedroom. Go look at the transactions for office buildings, hotels. They're selling for pennies on the dollar. I've seen office buildings going for an average of 50 to 75% off. So obviously, these tax cuts, they should be here, okay? These properties are so high in tax. The building inspection fees are so high. The insurance for these buildings are so high. And what's even worse is there's no tenants. Vacancy rates are going up as high as 40%. Some buildings are getting vacancies of 50%. It's pretty bad. It's getting worse by the day. In fact, San Francisco, so many buildings defaulting, the city's going to lose even more money. Look at this. Even Salesforce is leaving a San Francisco office tower bare. They are leaving as well. Uber, Lyft, a lot of these big corporations are actually decreasing their office space. They don't want to be here. It's probably one of the worst places to open office space. Tech companies are also leaving in droves. And if you check out this, you do have the latest project, which is going to be one that's supposed to be making San Francisco a ton of money, which is the $1.2 billion Hayes Point Tower. It's supposed to be selling 333 condos, which will generate a lot of property tax for the city. And also, it's supposed to have 300,000 square feet of office space, a little bit of hotels, and about 60 to 70,000 square feet of really nice amenities, including an indoor pool. And guess what? Hayes Point Tower is stopped construction over crazy high crime and homelessness. They also have halted construction because they can't find a single tenant. Almost 100 big brands have left the city due to crime, like Uniqlo, they've left. Whole Foods, they've left. And the stores that are opening up, they're putting like guard fences and security fences. It's crazy. This is like a very dystopian city. I don't see why they just clean up the homeless problem, clean up the drug problem. San Francisco is so slow to act on things. And there's even people saying San Francisco's like, oh, we're actually recovering. But people are like, no, San Francisco's not recovering. It's getting worse and worse because so many people are leaving. If you look at San Diego, they're doing a pretty decent job. San Diego is a pretty big W in my books simply because they actually clean up the homeless problem. Yeah, they actually clean up the tents. But at the same time, they're also putting certain sections of the city where it's like for homeless people, for tents, stuff like that. And the businesses are staying because the businesses are flourishing because the streets are actually pretty clean. Tourism is flourishing in San Diego. That's like the only city in California I'll actually move to if I have to go to California. And San Diego is actually experiencing a massive tourism increase. You got Tijuana right there, a lot of tourism, and businesses are actually popping up, construction's popping up, and San Diego real estate is holding pretty strong because they actually protect their businesses and buildings. And now they actually have money to help the homeless and people who are in need. San Francisco, like, screw everything. We won't help businesses, we won't help the homeless people, we're just gonna leave it as it be. I mean, San Francisco could be an incredibly great city due to the amazing location. It's still somewhat of a tech hub because there's still a decent amount of companies that still haven't left because leaving a city is extremely difficult because you gotta find another HQ. But there's already several cities here that are thinking about leaving, okay? Even Elon Musk is like, screw this place. We're leaving Fremont. Same exact thing, right? The Bay Area real estate is completely being decimated by so many tenants that are no longer coming back. So many of the office workers. Used to be like almost 200,000 office workers commuting to work to San Francisco, which makes San Francisco real estate one of the most valuable and sought after real estate pieces in the world before the pandemic. But after the pandemic, when everyone worked remote and then people started coming back, they stick their heads in and they see all sorts of crazy things, crazy high crime rates. They're like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't come back to San Francisco. And that's exactly what's happening. Look at Nordstrom. Look at the Westfield Mall. It's empty. They're leaving. Just not a great sign. And of course, it's going to be one of the biggest property bust in the history, in my opinion. If you guys thought the Detroit's property bubble pop and Detroit's property decrease is crazy, wait till you see San Francisco. This is by far one of the craziest I've ever seen because San Francisco has billions and billions of very expensive towers priced at very high valuations back in 2019. And now a lot of these buildings are going bust. We're seeing regional banks taking big hits. It's just a really scary situation. It's going to be affecting the real estate economy nationwide if the real estate bubble pops in San Francisco, which is already popping, and things are only getting worse. Scary stuff. In fact, this is probably one of the few places where buying real estate, it's probably worse than buying cryptocurrencies. Just be very careful, guys. Okay, inspection fees are increasing. Property taxes aren't going down. Insurance is going up. It's a real frightening time for San Francisco real estate.